So our son is, first of all, schizoaffective, which is combination of schizophrenia, his primary diagnosis, with bipolar, which gives him issues around mood unreliability, I would say. And so it's tough sometimes separating which is which, but it clearly really impacts him. And um, it's funny when you say, like, how does a supportive family help. I'm not sure what it would be like for him if he didn't have our family. It's hard to know, and we can pat ourselves on the back, but clearly when you look at outcomes related to folks who do not have a supportive family, or folks whose families have kicked them out of the house, it's very unstable for them. And we've tried to help him make his life as fulfilling as possible, because someone with a mental illness has all the same needs that someone who doesn't have a mental illness needs fulfilling work, needs a home, needs warmth and affection from someone, needs friends, needs family who love him. Those needs are the same for everybody. They're not unique, and the people who have mental illness don't have them. So as much as possible, we have tried to help with that. That said, he gets those things from his immediate family. I think that we have been fortunate too that Nick has been, on the whole, very medicine compliant. That's a huge deal, because if you go off your meds, if you do not accept that you have an illness, that's a chance of a huge bad outcome. And these I think you need, as a family member, to be really vigilant with a family member who experiences major mental illness, because you kind of look for signs when something's going south before it goes really south and is out of control. So I think having pretty finely tuned antenna ends up being pretty important. If you are able for some reason to do it without medication, great. I think that's fantastic. I think a whole lot of people are not, and I think that medication properly prescribed, properly monitored, can be very beneficial. I also think that therapy is really important. I think having someone who kind of is on your side, coaching you or listening and offering feedback, I think that's very important too.
In my experience, the people that come regularly initially and then scale back, spacing their sessions further and further out while practicing what we talked about, typically fare very well. People that come in only on an as-needed basis tend to have a more difficult time coping with their anxiety, because we are constantly having to reinvent the wheel. Without regular treatment, patients are not as likely to practice the relapse prevention methods I teach them. With that pattern of treatment, patients seem to have crises more often. Overall, I believe very strongly in therapy alone in the majority of cases. It's very effective. A lot of times anxiety reduction seems to be what people are after, but I try to frame it with the question, what parts of your life have you avoided engaging in order to manage your anxiety? I like to measure success on how much of their lives they've gotten back. For me, the intensity of the anxiety is almost irrelevant. Even if the anxiety fluctuates, they are beginning to get their lives back.
Well, the question being, how often do I take the mentally ill people to jail versus a mental facility is, it's kind of it's a generic question. Sometimes we take them to jail, sometimes we go and put a mental hold on them. If a person is involved in a disorderly conduct or some other crime, some misdemeanor crime, but they want to hurt themselves, kill themselves, put themselves in harm's way, it doesn't make any sense to take them to jail at that time. We will actually take that person to locally Portland Adventist Hospital or some of the other local hospitals, maybe even Kaiser. Most of the hospitals have a mental health facility and can actually counsel these mentally ill people. However, there are mentally ill people who do more heinous crimes where they actually assault others with knives, etc. And for those people, we have to take them to jail. That doesn't mean that they're going to be incarcerated and locked up with standard population. That means that is another avenue to get them help. The Portland Police Bureau itself has a behavioral health unit. We would advise them that we've placed kind of a dangerous mentally ill subject in custody, and they will work with the Multnomah County Corrections Institute to actually get them some help with their mental illness, maybe get them back on their medications, etc., while they do time for whatever crime they have committed. So also to elaborate more, there really are for the mentally ill. Not only have the Portland Police, has the Portland Police Bureau trained all of its officers to be critical incident trained officers, CIT officers, but there's advanced CIT officers who belong to the behavioral health unit that I spoke with. These officers with the behavioral health unit work hand in hand with people in the mental health industry. So in our profession, the mentally ill are basically like, they have an unknown risk to us for the fact that they're unpredictable. We don't know exactly where they're at, if they're schizophrenic, if they're hearing voices that tell them that we're bad people, etc. They tend to be a handful for us to deal with. We oftentimes have to use tasers and other use of force, and we've had to actually use deadly force, but it's a tough call for us because they are dangerous, and they are dangerous to society if they're not on their meds. Very treatable if they stay on medications.